Welcome back. This is a video about special canastas. We're going to talk about 3 common special canastas: aces, sevens, and wild card. So if you remember, a canasta is 7 of the 8. When you're making a sevens canasta, you cannot go out unless you finish it. So if your partner starts or you start a sevens canasta, you are not allowed to go out, no matter how many other canastas you have, until you finish that sevens. Sevens canastas can never have wilds. They can only contain sevens. Sevens canastas, once you start them, if you don't finish them, it is a 2,500 point penalty. If you finish them, it's a 2,500 point bonus. Big risk, big reward. Generally, I don't start sevens unless I know where 6 of the sevens that we need are. And I have a high degree of confidence that my partnership controls those 6. Once you finish your sevens canasta, you are then allowed to go out. And if you have the other requirements, which are at least 2 other canastas, and you ask permission. Make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. All right. So that's the sevens canasta. Never wild cards, ever. Now let's talk about aces. With aces, you have a choice. If your partnership starts the aces naturally, meaning your partner or you puts down 3 or more aces, and before they discard, before they end the turn where they put those aces down, they don't add a wild card, you are now committed to finishing an aces canasta. You're committed to finishing it. If you don't finish a natural aces, meaning no wild cards, you lose 2,500 points. If you finish a natural aces, you get 2,500 points. So starting a natural aces is a big chance. Once again, big risk, big reward. I usually make it as a calculated risk. Once again, I usually don't start aces unless I have a high degree of confidence that my partnership controls a likely 6 of the 7 that we require. Because as soon as you start a natural aces, your opponents are going to hold on to aces, so you'll never get them. If you finish the aces, you get a 2,500 point bonus. If you don't finish the aces by the end of the hand, you lose 2,500 points. If you start aces naturally, you can never add a wild. Never. You can't change it. The aces maintain their state. However they start is how you have to finish them. Now, if your partnership decides to start an aces canasta and you start it with a wild, now it's just a regular old canasta. You finish it, you don't, it's a regular old meld rather, that you're trying to work toward a canasta, and you either finish it or you don't. If you finish it, great, you get the 300 point bonus because it contains 1 or 2 wild, so it's an unnatural. Or if you don't finish it, no big deal. You still get the value of the cards, but there's no big penalty because when you started the aces, you chose to start it as an unnatural meld. Aces maintain their state. All right, now let's talk about wild card canastas, which you would think, holy moly, would I ever do a wild card canasta? And yeah, I've done wild card canastas. If you have a lot of wild cards, why not? So, the wild card canasta. Let's say you've got a lot of wilds and you're thinking, gee, my opponents haven't used any wild cards at all in their meld, or they haven't melded, nobody's melded, we're getting a little late in the hand, and you've got a lot of wilds, and you think, wow, I could make initial meld, and part of how I do that is by starting a wild card canasta. Now, I'm not doing initial meld, I'm only talking about wild card canastas. If you start a wild card canasta or a wild card meld, you need 3 cards. 3 twos, 3 jokers, any combination, it doesn't matter. Once your partnership has started a wild card meld, you may not use wild cards anywhere else until you finish the wild card canasta. You may not go out until you finish the wild card canasta, just like with aces that aren't natural aces that aren't finished, and 7s. If you have started a natural ace meld and you have not yet finished a natural ace canasta, you're not allowed to go out. If you started the natural 7s and you haven't finished them, you're not allowed to go out. If you start a wild card canasta with a wild card meld, you are not allowed to go out until it's a finished canasta. So, here we go. We have started the wild card canasta. Our partnership is not allowed to use wild cards anywhere else in any other ranks or any other melds until we finish the wild card canasta. Once we finish the wild card canasta, we're free to use wild cards however we want. If we finish the wild card canasta, just a basic wild card canasta, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just a basic wild card canasta. It's worth 2,500 points. If we don't finish it, we lose 2,500 points. If we finish a wild card canasta that's all 2s, it's worth 3,000 points as a bonus. Now, it would not be a 3,000 point subtraction. The wild card canasta, no matter what it contains, if you don't finish it, it's 2,500 point penalty. A wild card canasta that contains all 4 jokers, that is finished, also gives you a 3,000 point bonus. If it only has 3 jokers, then you only get 2,500 points as a bonus. So we've talked about 3 common special canastas. 7s, which can only be natural. You can never have a wild card. Wilds, and aces. And remember, aces maintain their state. If you start the aces naturally, you're committing your partnership to the special wild card, to the special aces canasta. If you start your aces with a wild card, then you're fine. It's just a regular old unnatural canasta. If you make any of these by completing one of these canastas, you get a 2,500 point bonus. If you start them and you don't finish them, you lose 2,500 points per canasta. So, if you started wild aces and 7s all in the same hand and you didn't finish any of them, you would lose 7,500 points. Canasta is a go big or go home kind of game, but remember, you want to take calculated risks. Also with the wilds, remember, if there are 4 jokers in the wild card canasta, it's worth 3,000 points instead of 2,500. And if your wild card canasta contains all 2s, it is also worth 3,000, not 2,500 points when you complete it as a bonus. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning about these special canastas that we all hope to get. Have a great day and play on.